Kom on one ra neat, skriðan skedugenga, skjotten swaven, that horn rekked haldin skoldan alle buten anum, that was ildem kuth, that hen moste, that metted norde, siskinskavander skedu bregdan. Okay, wackende rathaman andan, bad bolgen mode, beadwagathingus. So then came from the Moors, and you'll hear this in modern English. Tha come of more, then come of more. Tha come of more, under mist them, under the misty hills, under mist them. Grendel, right? Grendel, gongen, godus ure bear. Grendel goes bearing the wrath of God. So you feel this dramatic buildup of this creature coming in off of the moors. Godus ire bar, munta samanskada, manakunis sumne besirwan and selatham heon. Intended to come to this hall, Heorot, and to pick up some of the warriors and tear them apart and consume them. Grendel was an impressively burly kind of monster. And then we keep layering in this approach, the approach of this monster. He's already come striding in from the moors. He's already come across the hills, the misty hills, and now we have he wades in under the welkin, under the skies. Wode under roknum werðmunum tha. So wode under the roknum to fast the hewin record. Gold selagumina gervos wissa fatum fachne. Not was that the first time he Hrothgar's home sought out. No was that pharmacy that he Hrothgar's ham gesote. So how much of that did you get? Maybe, I don't know, 2.5%, maybe a little less, maybe more for some of you. But so many of these, I think it's more important just to sit with the language and be with the shapes of it and the sounds of it, the texture of the language, which is much more, there's an experience that you perhaps can't set to an explanation that comes with that, because it's in, say, call it our linguistic memory. It's part of the history of, or the parent, call it, of modern English that we use today. How about some more then? Let's see. So we'll get into some heavier stuff. I began with the Grendel, and there's more Grendel to go, for that matter. And by the way, Grendel being a mythic figure, and this being a mythology. This is a myth as an epic poem. And it was held together, the poem itself is held together through alliteration. Normally our rhymes, we commit to memory poems based on rhyme, and it's the rhyme scheme that holds them together. Roses are red, violets are blue, etc. But this is held together with alliteration. So you'll hear the same consonant sounds in each line rolling out. For example, Thawas Hrothgar Hors gebatted. You have Hrothgar and Hors. The H alliteration. Wij wunden fax weasel fengel. Wij wunden fax weasel. We get the W's, which were actually represented by win, which is the rune for W. And it meant joy, the rune by itself. And that's a whole nother thing going on right there with runes. And that also makes the Beowulf manuscript so interesting. We only have one extant version of this epic poem, of this myth, and it comes to us from, this manuscript was discovered sometime in the 1800s, and it had some fire damage and that sort of thing. Or later in the Beowulf poem, he fights the dragon. And dragons are a wonderful symbol. You know, and our dragons, first of all, there are all kinds of dragons. So you can have your Chinese wispy, elegant dragon, you know, your beautiful connection between earth and sky. The dragon is both the serpent, which is earthbound, yet it has wings, and therefore is a connection between the heaven and the worlds that we live upon. But with European dragons, it's a little bit different. Our European dragons basically breathe fire, obviously. They're grumpy, They're isolated, they're angry, and they're festering in their moodiness, and their layers off somewhere. And they're usually perched on their hoard of gold. So let's look at this symbolically for a minute. And we get a, we can see, what can a dragon do with gold? Well, and gems and diamonds. What can it do? Is it go to the supermarket and buy some nice food? Or no? There's a go to the mall? No, I mean, we've simply got the only thing that the dragon can do with this treasure is hoard it and luxuriate in that wonderful feeling dragons must have when they keep treasure from people who could make use of this stuff. So Beowulf hears that there's a dragon out there wreaking havoc, so he goes off there and he's going to fight with the dragon, and we have that tradition between the battle between the dragon and what's behind it. What is being and the treasure isn't necessarily gold and diamonds. It could be a princess like Brunhilde with Siegfried. So let's get back to Grendel monster for a second. So he's come into Heorot, and he sees the sleeping warriors around. But Beowulf is now there. He's come down from Sweden and he's hanging out pretending to be asleep. And Beowulf happens to be very strong and all this good stuff. So Grendel comes in and sees the sleeping warriors. Thahismodach log. Then his mood lifted. Thahismod. That's our word for mood. Mode. Thahismodach log. Muntidet Gedarde, Arthondag Homa, Atol Agalaka, Anarago Herkis, Leaf with Like. He meant to divide Muntidet Arthondag Homa. Before that day came, life from body, leaf with Like. So he just basically wanted to tear people apart and pull the life out of their bodies. And a very important line that follows is Nawasat Weirthagen. That hema moste. No was that weird again. Not was that yet weird. Not was that yet weird. Weird originally had one definition and one definition only: fate. Destiny, that's it. And then later it came to mean bizarre, right, in modern English. But that makes sense because things that are strange often are. There's a strange flavor to fate and to destiny. We see it in the weird sisters of Shakespeare. They're not weird because they're bizarre. They're weird because they have the gift of prophecy, because they have insight. They see the fabric of one's fate. And weird is cognate with the Old Norse urð. Which is the well. We have the well of Urð, the spring of fate, that the three Norns, the prophetesses of Norse mythology, sprinkling Yggdrasil in the beginning days and throughout. This weird quality, it's a strong word, and it's I don't know. What can I say about destiny and fate? It's beyond me. At any rate, it's weird. So that was not yet weirded. It was not yet fated that Grendel would do well on this occasion and eat all these warriors. Okay, well then eventually Beowulf comes along. He gets to Beowulf. Okay, we'll get a little bit of the gruesome stuff. Slappene rink. So he grabbed the first sleeping warrior, Slappene rink, slat, unwernam, bat, banloken, blod, edrum dronk, sun snidem swear. Sounds pretty gnarly, right? It is. Picked up the sleeping warrior, bat, banloken, bit the bone locker, the joint, bat, banloken, blod, edrum dronk. Streams of blood, blod, edrum, dronk. He drank these streams of blood. Sun snidem swell, swallowed sun snidem. Sun snidem is basically goopy stuff, morsels. Did all that, and now he's all happy, and he's just devouring these warriors. But then he comes to Beowulf, and Beowulf grabs his arm. Onwithankum grabs his arm, und with thankum, und with arm, and with the arm, gesat. And basically he rips Grendel's arm out of his body, and then things go really badly for Grendel from then on. Now we have Hrothgar and his men now need to go and find where Beowulf's mother is, another monster who lives down at the bottom of the ocean, at the bottom of a lake. And then the language of the poem changes quite a bit. There's this, this sort of uplifting, now we're going to march out and track down and find the lair of the monster and destroy. And it goes something like, and you can hear that almost, it's like a parade almost. Thawas Hrothgare horse gebatted, which munden fax, weasel fengel gatoli gende. Then was the horse bitted, the bit placed into the mouth of the horse for Hrothgar. Thawas Hrothgares horse gebatted, which munden fax. Wundenfjax means the wound up mane. The mane is the word for horse, fax. It literally translates to mane, but we see it in Lord of the Rings with Shadowfax. That Tolkien borrowed a tremendous amount of content from Old English and from Beowulf in his creation of Middle-earth, which, by the way, comes right out of Beowulf as well. Middengard. Middle, Gjard, earth. So now we're going off. Hrothgar's horse gebatted, which would in fact Wiese Fengel Gatolik Gender, the wise prince, beautifully went along. You see, we got this uplifting. Overeoditha Adalingus Bjarn Stiapstan Litho, okay, going through the terrain. Stige Niarwaenga Ampathas Ankuthgalad, Niaule Nasus, Nika Hruzafela. Hifiarasum beforen Gengde. He went before a few, stepped out in front of a few. Hifiarasum beforen Gengde Wis Ramona, to observe the plain, the Wong Skiawian. Athatifaringa, and then he found over Firgen Byamis, over leaning beams, leaning trees. Harne Stan, the gray stone, Chleonian Funde, found to lean, to be there. Chleonian Funde. I love this line, by the way. Winliasne Wudu, the joyless wood. Remember that rune, our word win is joy. So winless, joyless. Winleasne, wudu, woods. Water under stod, dreorig ungedrevid. Now you don't need Old English to know that one. The water stood underneath, water, understod, dreary and driven. Dreorig ungedreven. Water understood, dreorig ungedreven. See, now they've gotten to the water where Grendel's mother lives down as a monster underneath this water. And then they die. I mean, I could go on with the Old English stuff for a while, but they dive in and interesting fight. And by the way, that's archetypal, the journey into the underworld. Going underwater is always archetypal for some kind of journey through difficult internal terrain. So you can go so deep as to say that this travel, then there's always a transformation that happens with this journey into the underworld. When we go underwater, when we go into what is beneath, and it's foundational. It's basically a place of death and rebirth. It's basically a place of dealing with what's dark and with what's lost, and then the light and what is gained as a result of this. It's the place of transformation, essentially. We have these characters, and we have this narrative, and these characters, for example, Grendel, this monster that comes running in from off on the moors, this furious, angry, bitter kind of personality, comes to us really as a representative, as an archetype of that kind of mood, of that psychic component within any individual psyche. And that's really what makes the mythology most interesting to encounter. We have a glimpse into ourselves through it. So this is knowledge that reveals the human psyche through story. And that's probably, in my opinion, the best that myth does.